Good morning, dear learners. I, Dr. Vandana Sonkar, Assistant Professor at Faculty of Commerce, Banaras Hindu University, welcome you all to the next lecture of my course on financial literacy. This is week 10, where we are discussing an overview of a stock market. In the previous lectures of this module, we had discussed the basic concepts related with the securities market, and we had discussed about the stock markets also. We had discussed what are the various participants that work in the stock exchanges, and we had also discussed some of the key aspects related with the mechanism of the securities market. In the today's session, we'll be going to understand about the block deals, as well as we'll be going to discuss the differences between the block deals and the bulk deals that a company offers into the stock exchanges. So in this lecture, we'll be going to discuss what do we mean by the term offer for sale and its various features, and we'll be also going to delve into the procedure of the allotment in case of the offer for sale, and we'll be also going to discuss its advantages. Then we'll be going to discuss the block deals and bulk deal and its differences, and we'll be going to understand the various impact of block deals on the retail investors. So let us discuss the first part, that is the offer for sale. Basically, an offer for sale is a method through which the companies and the owners of the companies, the promoters, they issue their shares for the subscription in the general public. That means the promoters sell their shares with the help of the offer for sale to the general public. Normally, these shares are offered to the general public at a discount of 5%. That means investors can often receive a 5% discount on such kind of offer for sale. Initially, these offer for sale was limited for the promoters of the companies only, but now many of the shareholders who can meet the eligibility criteria of the promoters, they can also participate and invest in the offer for sale. Specifically, the shareholders who hold at least 10% of total shareholdings of the company, they can also conduct offer for sale for the general public. In the case of the offer for sale, it is a convenient method as compared to the traditional mechanism of the follow-on public offerings that are made for procuring the additional funds from the financial market. It involves less of the paperwork, since it is a system that is based on the bidding platforms, as well as it is less time consuming as it becomes an automated process for the general public and the promoters of the company to issue for the stocks. The minimum time is involved here between the application and allotment of share, so that means it is very less time consuming, and the effort is also involved to a very less extent as compared to the other forms of issuance of securities in the market. This is also cost effective method where the company offered discount on the floor prices of the issues to retail investor. That may be a key reason why retail investors find themselves in a interesting position to invest into the offer for sale for the issuance of the security. So basically, offer for sale is a method of the issuance of security in which the promoters of the company or the shareholders who are holding at least 10% of the stocks of the company, they can make their shareholdings in the offer for sale to the general public by offering 5% discount on the floor prices. So this becomes very interesting for the participants or the retail investors to invest into the offer for sale. Now, let us discuss some of the features related with the offer for sale. The offer for sale is a helpful method for the company for the purpose of procuring the additional capital. So, this is a segment in the stock market that allows the promoter groups to raise additional capital for the firm by selling their own stake to the general public. It is a limited company, that means those company who are listed into the Indian Stock Exchange, that is the list of 200 companies that fulfill the criteria of market capitalization, they can only proceed for the offer for sale offers. That means only a limited number of the companies in the market can make the offer for sale. Not every company can meet the criteria of market capitalization for making their issuance of securities with the help of offer for sale. The bidding in case of the offer for sale is done with the help of the demat account. That means the bidders or investor, they can apply for an IPO or by opening their demat account, and they can place a bid price for a particular stock and avail those share at a discounted price in case of the offer for sale with the help of their demat account. Now, let us discuss the allotment of share in offer for sale, how the allotment procedure takes place in case of the offer for sale. If we talk about the allotment procedure, the shares in offer for sale can be allotted in 3 different ways. That means there are 3 different methods with the help of which the allotment is done in the offer for sale. The first method is known as the single clearing price. The single clearing price is a method where the investor receives share at the same price regardless of the quantities or the price that they bid through their demat account. So, this particular method creates a level playing field, especially for the retail investors or the individual investors in the market. For example, suppose that if there is Mr. Ram who bids for 1000 number of shares at the rate of 65, and there is LIC, that is an institutional investor, they ask for 2 lakh number of shares at the rate of 66. If the clearing price in such case of the single clearing price method will be 65 for both the Mr. Ram and LIC. So, suppose that if they are asking their shares and the number of units that has been asked in the bid by both of them are different, but they will both be offer the share on the same price of 65. So, both will get the shares at the rate of 65. After that, there is a next method which is known as the multiple clearing price. As the name suggests, here the shares are allotted at different prices to the different type of bidding that has been done by the different type of investors. So, based on the individual bid prices done by the different types of investors in the market, the different pricings are done for the investors. So, here higher bid prices and larger quantities may also be prioritized by the company for the purpose of making the allotment in the offer for sale. For example, let us take the previous example only. In case if the Mr. Ram has asked for 1000 number of share at the rate of 65 and LIC, an institutional investor, has asked for 2 lakh units of share at the rate of 65. In such a case, LIC, that is bidding higher at the rate of 66 rupees and for a larger quantity, will be getting prioritized over the bidding of Mr. Ram, that is the 1000 number of units of share at the rate of 65. So, LIC will be getting prioritized allotment here in case of the multiple clearing price. Then comes the next method for the allotment under the offer for sale, that is known as the cut off price option. In case of the cut off price option, the investors get the shares at final discovered price, that means the cutoff price, without having to specify a price for their shares. That means this particular method helps to determine the lowest price at which the issue under the offer for sale will be fully subscribed in the market. That means this particular method can be a best way for the retail investors who are not very sure about the pricing that they want to bid in their biddings. So that means they will get the minimum price of the shares under the cut off price option. So final discovered price or cut off price will be done on the basis of the total demand of the shares under the offer for sale, and here the individual investors need not to specify the prices of the share. They will have the benefit of the lowest price at which the different number of units that has been issued under the offer for sale will be fully subscribed by the company. Now let us discuss what are the various steps that are involved in the procedure for offer for sale. So first you need to make an announcement. An offer for sale is basically a mechanism with the help of which the company and their major shareholders can sell their shares to the general public with the help of the stock exchanges. So here they need to follow a step-by-step procedure to be completed as regulated by the SEBI and the stock exchanges. So first they need to make announcement. So in the announcement, the seller or the company or the shareholders or the promoters of the company, they announce their offer for sale, and a floor price, that is the minimum price, is set for the shares that are issued under the offer for sale. In this particular method, they need to reveal what is the minimum price of the share, so that on the basis of that minimum price and the maximum price, that is the band of the pricing, the investors can bid their different price for the purpose of subscription of the share under the offer for sale. The next step is of bidding. In the bidding, investors who are interested to purchase the share, they place bids at the floor price or above the floor price during the specified time window provided in the offer for sale. So bidding may happen via a stock exchange platform. So a stock exchange will here work as a link between the companies and the retail investors for making the offer for sale complete. The next procedure is of allocation. In this particular step, the company, on the basis of the subscriptions application received, shares will be allotted based on the various amounts of bids that have been received by the different type of investors in the market. So allocation procedure depends on the bid price and the quantity that has been asked in the bid. That will be based on the chosen price method, that is the single pricing method, multiple pricing method, or the cut-off pricing method that we have already discussed. After the allotment, the next step under the offer for sale is of settlement. In the settlement, the allotted shares are credited to the investors' demat account. That means the investors who have chosen any depository participant for the purpose of opening their demat account, in those demat account, the shares will be credited by the shareholders or the promoters who have announced the offer for sale, and the corresponding payment is then debited from their bank account to the company for the purpose of procuring the additional fund for the company. So this is the whole procedure, a step-by-step procedure of offer for sale. Next, let us understand what is the benefit that the company may receive by offering the offer for sale into the market for the issuance of securities. So by offer for sale, the company and the investors both may get benefited, and let us understand what are the various benefits. So the first one is it offers discounts for the retail investors. Retail investors can get a rebate of up to 5% on the floor price by applying for the offer for sale. it has a quick procedure that completes within a short span of time. So offer for sale is typically open for just one trading day, so it makes it fast and efficient for both the retail investor as well as the company. So the company can also get the funds very easily in a short span of time, as well as the retail investor will also need to invest less time and effort for completing the transaction. The next one is the cost effective. So the next benefit is the cost effective. No extra charges apart from the security transaction tax is imposed on the offer for sale. That means here both the parties can save their taxes on this particular transaction. So in the offer for sale, only security transaction tax is imposed and no other extra charges are imposed for the collection of money under the offer for sale. Now, different types of participants are involved in the offer for sale. So let us see what are the role that these participants play under the offer for sale. So under the offer for sale, the merchant bankers plays a vital role in procuring the funds for the company. So let us understand who are these merchant bankers and what role they need to perform for the company for completing their offer for sale. So merchant bankers basically become the lead manager for the company, and they prepare the offer for sale and they manage the procedure, which includes the documentation, pricing and allocation of the shares under the offer for sale. So merchant bankers, often known as the promoters of the companies, they help the company to procure the long-term funds, as well as they also help in strategic planning of the company. They here play the role of lead managers. They prepare the documents, they manage the offer for sale procedure, as well as they also help the company in the pricing and allocation of the shares. Their due diligence is required in the procedure of offer for sale. So they are also responsible for a thorough review of the company's position and financial operation for the purpose of preparing a good offer for sale, so that they can collect sufficient amount of financial resources with the help of the offer for sale. Next is the determination of prices. The merchant bankers also help in determining that what can be the reasonable floor price on which the offer for sale must be announced, so that the customers or the investors can bid at that floor price or above that floor price for the purpose of subscribing the shares of the company. So these are the roles that is performed by the merchant banker. They become the lead manager for the offer for sale. They required to pay due diligence in the procedure of the review of the financial position and operation of the company, and they also help in the determination of the prices of the shares and securities. Then comes the role of other intermediaries. Apart from the merchant bankers, there are registrars, auditors and legal advisor, as well as the other participants may also be involved, who play an important role in the offer for sale. So they basically help in completing the transaction with the help of the offer of sale. So registrars are basically the person who are related with the record keeping and maintaining the allotment procedures under the offer for sale. So they basically help in the documentation procedure and the maintenance of the bookkeeping records. Then comes the auditors. These are the person who verify the financial statements of the company and provide assurance on the accuracy of the financial information that has been disclosed by the company to the retail investors in the prospectus and in the other document for inviting their application. Next is the legal advisor. Legal advisors ensures that the compliance to the regulations should be done, relevant laws and regulation must be fulfilled, and they also provide some legal guidance and informations to the company and in the bidding procedure of the offer for sale. So these are the various participants in the offer for sale. Apart from this, retail investors are there, the important shareholders who are having 10%, minimum 10% of the shareholdings in the company, they also become an important part in the offer for sale deal. Now, let us understand the next concept of this lecture, that is the block deals. What do we mean by the block deals and how it may be helpful for the company to raise the fund with the help of the block deals. Basically, block deals is a large number of securities that are bought and sold in a single transaction, and it usually involves at least 5 lakh shares of the company that may worth 5 crores rupees. That means if the company needs to raise a large quantity of financial resources, they can take the help of block deal and they can arrange at least minimum of the 5 crore rupees with the help of the block deals. So institutional investors such as the mutual fund companies, the insurance companies, banks, they negotiate the execution of such deals in the exchanges to maintain the order books. That means the stock exchanges where the shares are traded receives the reports of these deals by these different type of institutional investors such as mutual fund, insurance company or banking company. So typically the block deals are conducted to meet specific investment goals of the companies, such as adjusting the exposure to certain stock or sector or for the particular financial objectives of the company. So basically block deals helps the company to arrange a large number of fund with the help of issuance of the large number of securities. Now let us understand the rules for block deal trading, how the company needs to fulfill different types of rule for the purpose of arranging the funds with the help of the block deals. So basically the block deals are allowed only in case of the securities that are listed in future and options segments, and the companies must have a market capitalization of 500 crores rupees or more. That means a minimum capitalization of 500 crore rupees are required in the future and options segments of the securities for the purpose of inviting the funds with the help of the block deals. The minimum order size in the case of the block deal must be either 5 lakh shares or a minimum deal of rupees 5 crore rupees must be there. So a minimum number of unit of 5 lakh or minimum amount of fund of 5 crore rupees can be made as an order size under the block deal by the companies. The block deal window is open only for a short period of time, that is only for 35 minutes during two different trading session, that is in the case of morning session 9:15 am to 9:50 am and in the afternoon from 5 pm to 2:40 pm. That means only for 35 minutes the block deal window will be open for the trading. So the deal price in case of the block deal must be within the specified range of the current market price as have been defined by the exchanges under the block deals. Now let us understand the various key features, specific features of the block deal order. What are the various characteristics of the block deal order? So here the minimum order size in case of the block deal will be at least 5 lakh shares or it may have a minimum value of 5 crore rupees. So the first characteristic is that here the minimum value will be 5 crore and the number of unit of shares issued will be 5 lakh shares. Delivery based trades are only done in case of the block deal orders. That means all block deal transactions must result in actual delivery of the shares. That means these transactions cannot be squared off or reversed on the same day. So here the actual delivery of the asset must takes place to complete the block deal. Here the price range restrictions are there. That means the trade price must stay within plus or minus 1% of the range of either the current market price or the previous day's closing price, depending on what is applied in the block deal orders. So these are the basic features. Now the other features are, there are some mandatory disclosures that the company needs to make in case of the block deal order, such as the brokers must report the key details related with the transaction to the exchanges, such as the name of the stocks that are offered under the block deals, the name of the buyer and the sellers, those who are exchanging the shares under the block deals, quantity that will be traded under the block deal, and the trade price. So the stock exchanges publishes these information for the public viewing after the market closes on the same day. Now let us understand the impact of block deals on the retail investor. If we talk about the impact, then the various impacts can be seen under various aspects, such as under market sentiment. You can see that large block deals can influence that how the retail investors views a stock of any company. For instance, if a significant shareholder offloads a big chunk of share in the market, it may be seen as lack of confidence in the company by the retail investors, and it may potentially lead to a negative sentiment for the company's stock in the financial market. Next is effect on the price movement. If we talk about the effect of the block deals on the price movement of share, although these deals are done separately from the regular trading practices, they can still impact the market prices of the shares to a great extent by indirectly. So here changes in investor sentiment, as we have discussed in the first point, such deals can often influence the overall demand and supply of stocks in the market, and that will play a vital role in the fluctuation of the prices or the price trends. Next is improved liquidity. The block deals allows large transaction to go through without disrupting the regular trading of the stocks in the exchanges. So this helps in balancing, or you can say enhancing, the overall liquidity of the company in the market. So this benefits the retail investors by ensuring stable and efficient trading conditions of their shareholdings in the market. Next is temporary price volatility. So sudden or unexpected block deals can also cause some short-term price swings for the stocks of the company. So retail investors should stay alert during such events, and they can possibly adapt their trading approach to handle increased volatility of the stocks in the market. Now let us understand who uses the block deals for the arrangement of finance or for the purpose of investing. Who are the different types of investor who uses the block deals? So there are institutional investors, such as we have discussed about the mutual fund or insurance company or banking companies. There are promoters, they offload or acquire large stakes of the company. High net worth individuals may be a party, and private equity or venture capital firms may invest into the block deals. There are some disclosure requirements that they need to fulfill. So broker must immediately reports the following details in the stock exchanges, and stock exchanges need to publish these information in the market hour to maintain the transparency about the stock name, buyer and seller, quantity traded, and the trade price under the block deal. Now let us discuss some of the block deals that have been done in the recent past months. So several private equity funds, promoters and global investment funds have been involved in the block deal in the recent past, such as in the December 2023, 53,000 crores rupees have been traded under the block deal. In the January 2024, 21,000 crores. In February 2024, 41,200 crore. In the March 2024, it was 55,000 crores, and as of March 2024, these data have been seen in the stock market related with the block deal transactions. Now let us understand the difference between the block deals versus the bulk deal. So if we talk about the meaning, the block deal involves a significant quantity or value of share that may exceed 5 lakh number of unit of share or 5 crores in the value in a single transaction by the company, whereas bulk deal entails substantial buying or selling of share that may often surpass the predefined threshold or a proportion of the company's total outstanding shares. If we talk about the objectives, the block deals are primarily utilized by the institutional investor, such as the mutual funds or any insurance company that may need to acquire or divest a substantial ownership interest in a company, whereas bulk deal frequently is employed by both the individual as well as the institutional investors for the purpose of managing their portfolio and keep them engaging in the trading activity. If we talk about the size of transactions, so on this basis, the block deal involves transaction of large scales, whereas in case of bulk deal, transaction of small scales are involved. And on the basis of transparency, block deals are less transparent as it is a private trading practices we can say, or closed trading practice we can say, whereas bulk deal are more transparent the block as compared to the block deal, as it is visible during the regular trading practices. So these are the various details related with the offer for sale, block deals as well as bulk deal. So now with the help of all these discussion, I hope you must be clear that what are the different mechanisms that can be followed by a company for the purpose of procuring finances for them, and with the help of understanding all these concepts, managing your personal finances and deciding about your investment strategies will be more easier for you. So with this, I conclude my lecture. Thank you.